Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Steven Interviews You. This is episode number 9, and this is going to be a special one because of who's involved here, myself and my guest. This is Steven Interviews You, by the way. This is where I sit down and have a good chat with a special guest, and his name would be, introduce yourself.
My name is Nathaniel Bope. People call me Nate. I am known as Tailgate Nate on the internet, a massive college football fan. Thank you for giving me the time and allowing me to come on here. I really appreciate it, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, so as I said, this was like a special interview because I've been really wanting to do this in light of not just what's going to
Yeah,
happen for this upcoming season, but just how it progressed. Because you and we go back for years. I started following you
yeah,
like years
oh yeah.
ago, and so I've always liked your content, man. So speaking
I
of that,
greatly
our
appreciate it.
thank you. So speaking of that, the first question I want to ask is your Tailgate Nate channel.
Yes.
What first off, what inspired you to start making YouTube videos in general? What was the moment, or who was it that inspired you to start doing it?
Yeah, I don't know if anyone in particular inspired me to do it. I'm pretty self-taught in a lot of the stuff that I do and a lot of the things that I've been able to do throughout my life in the sports media realm. Literally just sitting at home one day in the middle of COVID, by the way. So you had nothing to do, you had nothing else to do with your time. And I've been a massive, not only college football fan, but a sports fan. If it tells you anything, I have my degree in sports media from this very nice logo right behind me. I have always loved the sports world, and I just thought one day, let's just put it online. Let's put what I have to say online. I feel like I'm pretty intelligible. I feel like I know what I'm talking about. And I wanted to show off my passion to a lot of people. I did not have a way to really talk about my love for sports. I did not have many sporty friends growing up throughout middle school and high school. I just didn't have a lot of people I could talk and connect with. So I figured what better way to connect with people than to put yourself out there online. And it was very nerve wracking at first. I had no idea what I was doing. I actually recently went back and watched my old videos and about cringe some of the hardest I ever have in my life. But literally sitting at home during COVID, I just figured, why not? There's absolutely nothing to lose.
Yeah. So also about Tailgate Nate, your YouTube channel. What exactly is like the thought process before you start making videos, like for any given topic? What goes into it, the planning?
So generally, I'm pretty basic, to be quite honest with you, with the content I put out, predictions. I'm sure you'll ask me about doing every single team, so I'll hold off my thoughts on that for a little bit later. But I don't really know. Just anything interesting I want to talk about. I want to talk about the game. I want to talk about what's going on. And I've started to more and more envelop content that's about, hey, this is what's going on. Like I recently uploaded a video on what's going on with Jake Retzlaff. Conference realignment is never dying down. I'm going to get a video out of that relatively soon. And I just want to talk college football. The worst question that you can ever ask me is, Nate, what is your favorite sport? Because after this interview, I'm going to go watch the Guardians game. And I was watching the Gold Cup that was just happening. I've been really big into the Wimbledon tennis tournament that is happening right now. I watch everything under the moon and sun, but I always answer college football. It is my number one passion. It is the thing that I probably am most confident in talking about and it have just fallen in love with more than anything else that you can put on television in the athletic realm. So to get back to your question, the thought process behind making content, it's a lot of research. It really is a lot of planning, especially with, getting in life outside of college. I got to envelop a new routine here, but it is very much so. I don't really know if I have a plan or a process other than this is going on. I want to talk about it. I'll read. Well, I was going to say read a little bit. That's a lie. I read a lot. I try to read various different viewpoints and a whole bunch of different sources. Um, and I researched a topic the best I can. I like to throw my own opinion in there because you can't have a sports talk show without providing your own opinion on what is going on. So I like to throw that into the mix. Yeah, I don't know if I really have one thought out process that's different or special than anybody else. If I want to make a video, I make it.
Yeah. So yeah, just for me, it's like I just wing it every because I have like a whole bunch of different interests. College
I
football being the main one. Yeah.
I would like to call myself the king of winging it. Not that I wing any of my videos. I have a whole bunch of notes on my phone, always, all the time. But in terms of winging it, I have put together videos in like 2 hours where I've researched it, read about it, put down some notes and jotted some thoughts, collected myself, sat down, recorded, and uploaded a video all within 2 hours. I have done that before. I would consider that winging it. I don't know about you. I think that's very much so winging
Yeah, I've had to wing it a lot for my videos on my channel, so I would definitely understand. I would definitely relate to that.
it. Yeah.
So yeah, so getting into the main topic here of college sports, college football, the Ohio State Buckeyes, the Ohio State
Oh, yeah.
University. So, as far as your journey as an Ohio State Buckeyes fan, how did you first get into it? How did you first get into following the Buckeyes in particular? What happened there?
Born and raised, baby. I was born in Columbus, Ohio. I bleed scarlet and gray, as pretty much everyone that's born in that city does. I was 1 month old when I got to sit wherever I was watching Ohio State win the 2002 national championship. And I was born into a sports family. So they were really good about fostering and being able to envelop me in the sport. So I have a couple really important family members. I do have a great uncle who obviously I never got the privilege to meet that played with Babe Ruth on the 1920 Yankees.
Oh wow.
So yeah, his name is, I believe, Frank Elmer Gleach. I'm going to be so embarrassed if I got that wrong. Don't look at his baseball reference. It is not a good page. The one time he had a shot to make a play in the field, he dropped the ball. So, his fielding percentage is zero. But other than that, my dad, he is not my biological father, but he did adopt me, was a reserve blocking tight end under Earl Bruce and got cut when John Cooper came in, unfortunately. And actually, a funny story about that, he had a full tuition scholarship to go to Ohio to play football, but he always wanted to play for the Scarlet and Gray. So he always says that he wish he could have played for the Bobcats, but instead chose his lifelong dream of being in a Buckeye uniform for 2 seasons, but never seeing the field. If you were to ask him, that might be one of his biggest regrets. I don't know if he would go that far, but I thought that would be a pretty interesting connection between you and I. Other than that, I've watched every single football game as long as I can remember. And even outside of football, I would beg my mother to stay up and just, please, mom, let me finish this quarter. Please, mom, let me finish this game. There were times where Ohio State wasn't even involved. There was a random college basketball game one night I was watching. I remember I was like 4 or 5 years old, and I begged and pleaded with my mom to just please let me stay up and watch this one. And she says, tell you what, why don't you go to bed? I will put the score in your pocket, in your coat pocket in the morning. And sure enough, I wake up, I have the score on a sticky note in my pocket. And my mom was awesome. Talking about the rest of my family, my mom was a softball pitcher. I don't believe she ever pitched collegiately, but she was a softball pitcher. My aunt and uncle are on a softball rec team in Ohio that I believe is in the Ohio Softball Hall of Fame. I am not going to be quoted on that because I do not know if it's correct, but they've been playing for a long time and they're pretty stinking good at it. I have a cousin out in Las Vegas that owns his own YMCA. A couple of my other family out in Vegas are assistant coaches, whether that's football, basketball, at Bishop Gorman. Obviously, we all know how big that high school is. So I've really been enveloped in it my entire life. I was reading the sports page at 2 years old. 2 years old, I was reading the sports page. And while I don't remember it, we were on an L train in Chicago, and this snarky man was sitting next to one of my uncles and I on the L train. I believe I was 3 or 4, maybe a little bit older. And I was reading the newspaper. And the guy said, "Oh, that's cute," kind of sarcastically. And my uncle went, "Nate, put the paper down." And told the guy, ask him anything. And it was baseball season. So he was like, "Okay, where are the Cubs right now?" I told him where the Cubs were at. "Where are the Dodgers?" I told him where the Dodgers were at. And the dude shut up really fast, so I'm told. The biggest inspiration, though, to me was definitely my grandfather. And whenever I talk about him, I usually get fairly emotional. So I'm going to try not to do that here. But little bit of backstory into me, and I won't go too deep into this. My bio dad did leave my mom when I was 3 years old. So my grandfather, up until my dad now, married my mom, adopted me, and all the good stuff like that. He's been wonderful to me. My grandfather was the father figure that I never had, and he had fostered my love for sports and taught me so many things about life in more ways than one. And I will never forget, I was 1 day away from seeing him for the last time, and it crushed me. It absolutely crushed me. But the thing that I remember the most about him is, you even take a look at my handle that's right here. That 29 is for him, and it was his birth year, 1929. I just can't really think of another number to be able to serve in his honor, so I just went with his birth year. And obviously, being born in the Great Depression, nothing easy came to him. And he served in Korea and was just a wonderful human being that I truly believe, even at 88 years old, I think was taken way too soon. He was absolutely special to me. I loved every moment I had with him. And the one I will always remember the most, well, there are two actually. One, after Ohio State won the 2014 national championship, he sent me a shirt that I still have. I have it in my dresser that's right over there. And two, we were on the phone the entire game for Game 7 of the 2016 finals. The entire game. And I'm so glad that he got to see Cleveland win that. He was always a big Reds fan. I, of course, am more of an Indians Guardians fan, so we did kind of differ in that realm. But especially for Ohio State. Every weekend, I'd call him before the game. I'd call him at halftime. I'd call him after the game. And now I do that with my dad. And honestly, it's something I wish I would have done a whole lot sooner. But my point into all of it is my family has been very good to me and very supportive of everything I want to do and watch. And I am the sports nerd. Anytime anyone in my family has a sports question, I get a text on my phone. I get a DM on Instagram, something like that. I've been very grateful to be born in the family system that I am. I have a pretty large and sizable family, which honestly does help in a lot of ways, and they have really helped foster it. But I kind of have to give myself a little bit of credit, and I don't like to give myself credit at all. I just don't like to do it, but I have to because of what I said earlier in the interview. I did not have many sporty friends growing up. I did not have people that I could talk to about it. There was someone that came into my life in 7th grade through a mentoring program. His name is Andy Jones, and I'm very thankful for him. He has probably done more for me than he has realized. He gave me that outlet to have someone to talk about sports, and I would fill out March Madness brackets with him. And I would talk about college football with him, as well as him giving me some general advice on life, and has really helped me a lot throughout the way. But I've had a very big support system. But again, I have had to sort of keep the faith in myself, because I find it too in people, when you can't talk about something with someone, like say you like Marvel movies, but you have no friends that like it, you can start to lose interest in it. Or maybe the sort of, what's the word I'm trying to look for here? I'll just go ahead and say your interest level is not as high. I think I've done a good job at being able to envelop that and keep myself in it and keep myself involved, because it really was, I should say, for a long time, one of the only things that enamored me. I loved competition. I loved the sports world, and I obviously still do. Yeah, I think I've said a lot there, but I had a great support system. My family is very sporty. I have tons of people I can talk with in my family. And obviously, getting into college, I've met a ton of friends that are just as big into this stuff as I have, including someone like yourself.
Yeah. So, sticking to the theme of history and memories, especially with the Ohio State Buckeyes, just in your opinion, what are some of the best memories of Ohio State sports, whether it's football or any other sport?
Oh, okay, so there are a couple of bad memories. Ohio State has had a ton of bad memories, especially recently in basketball. One of the nights that I begged my mom to stay up and watch the rest of the game was, I don't remember what year it was, but it was the Sweet 16, where I think it was the year after Ohio State had just beat Syracuse, maybe the year before. By the way, that game against Syracuse, we were in Kansas City visiting my dad on a business trip, got to watch the game, and that Final Four run was one of the better moments for me. But back to the one at Kentucky, that's one of the more disappointing moments because I begged my mom to stay up, and she did kind of look at me like, yeah, well, do you regret staying up now? Yeah, mom. Yeah, I do. Okay, I'll go to bed. But as far as football goes, because obviously that's the main focus here, that there are a ton of great moments. Obviously, that win streak against Michigan was awesome. The losing streak has been a very bad moment, but the win streak has been awesome. 2016, no, was it 2017? I think it was 2017. 2017 Penn State. Oh my goodness. I don't think I've ever had more fun watching a football game. I've never been more disappointed and had more fun watching a football game than that day. Another story about begging my mom. It was, I believe, 2012, the overtime game against Purdue, where it just looked like we were going to lose and lose. And we were in a sports bar, and every single play we inched closer to the door and closer to the door and closer to the door. And on the final, I believe it was one of the final plays of regulation, we were at the door ready to leave, and then Ohio State scored, and we went to go sit back down and watch the Buckeyes win that one in overtime. So that's a really good one. A not so good one, and I dyed my hair for this. I can't believe I did, but I dyed my hair bright red for this. So I did it for a football reason. It was not a phase, it was for football. I dyed my hair for the 2019 playoff run because even though I was pretty sure LSU was going to win the national championship, I was really confident in Ohio State's ability to run through that and give LSU a pretty darn good fight, if not win the thing. We got screwed that game. Absolutely screwed. And that's a hill I'll die on till the day I die. It was a fumble. It was a fumble, and you can't tell me otherwise. I think even a lot of other fan bases would agree with me, and I would hope reasonable Tiger fans would say, yeah, I know the refs gave us that one, but probably not. Other than that, I mean, this national championship run was pretty exciting, especially after a lot of people had counted us out. I've seen countless Ohio State games in person, whether that's basketball, football. I've gone to the Big Ten tournament. Oh, the Big Ten tournament in 2019. I don't know how I could forget that one. That might actually be my favorite Ohio State sports moment. That might be it. I went with my mom. So we lived in Omaha for a long time, and the Big Ten tournament was always there. Obviously, the College World Series is there. Ohio State's never been good enough since way back in the day to make the College World Series, but they were in the Big Ten tournament. I think they were the 7 or the 8 seed that year, and they ran all the way through the final, and they were like $12 box office tickets. And I went with my mom every single day, watched the Big Ten tournament, watched them win a Big Ten title, and that was just super exciting. And it's also a really cool experience when you are one of 10 people that are standing up and cheering in a crowd of 19,000. That's a pretty cool thing. And I've happened to do that a lot. I've done it a lot in Memorial Stadium. I did it a lot in Omaha. People may be surprised at this. I've gotten to storm the field at Kansas. I've been in SEC country. I watched Alabama and Arkansas. I did all that back-to-back weeks. One of my years in college. I have never been to a game in the shoe, and we're going to try to change that this year. I'm finally back in Buckeye country, living on the western part of the state where I now work. We're going to get to Buckeye country this year. Mark my words, it's going to happen. I've peppered around a lot, some positive and negative. You can't have the positive, or you can't have the negative without the positive, and vice versa. That Big Ten tournament game was, or that Big Ten tournament as a whole was simply awesome. It was an awesome experience. Even though a lot of the time the ballpark was empty, I still had a ton of fun. And it really is one of the few sports moments I've gotten to spend purely with my mom, which I value a lot.
Yeah, so there are plenty of memories for Ohio State sports. And fun fact, I would know because I was born in 1989 in Columbus, Ohio, and I've spent my entire childhood just the same as you, rooting for the Ohio State Buckeyes. So I spent my childhood rooting for the Buckeyes,
Absolutely.
and it's just an interesting story how, I made that transition from following Ohio State to following Ohio. That's a story in and of itself. But yeah, I've always had a respect for Ohio State. So just to hear what you say about Ohio State, it just gives me memories, reminds me of memories I've had. Yeah, so
Yeah,
when
it really was a very interesting experience growing up out of the state of Ohio, because everyone knows the notion, and there are a lot of people out there that think this way. Everybody hates the scarlet and gray. And you get a lot of perception of hatred on other fan bases because of how their fans are. And I'm bold enough to admit it. Sometimes I can be pretty over the top with my fandom, but normally I'm pretty level-headed, and normally I'm pretty calm about things. I'll scream at the TV for 3 hours, but once that time period is done, I will sit back, I'll think, and obviously collect the rational thing to say, which over the past couple of years, more often than not, has been, well, Michigan had the better game plan. They outplayed us. That's really hard to say, especially because of this logo on my chest. It is really, really hard to say. But it is so interesting to see how other fan bases treat fans. And by the way, Nebraska is just simply one of the best. Obviously, you're going to have the kids and the adults, unfortunately, that'll come up to you and give you the finger or whatever have you and say, screw you, you root for the scarlet and gray. How absolutely dare you? But this is, Lincoln is truly, I think Nebraska fans, after experiencing it and going to a lot of games where I did root for Nebraska, I donned a Husker jersey. Those fans are impeccable, and they treat everybody amazingly. When I walked into that building, oh, you're an Ohio State fan? Oh, welcome to Nebraska. Sometimes you just don't have the heart to tell them, I actually live here. But when you walk through those gates, oh, welcome. You're going to beat our ass. Like, it's one of those things where it just, it really is so funny. And I don't often use language like that. But again, verbatim. And my first significant other that I dated throughout high school was a Badger. She was a Wisconsin fan. So that was also fun to, have all the Big Ten championship games, being able to watch it with her and her family, because we beat them every single time. So, I mean, probably less enjoyable for her, but it was very enjoyable for me. And it really is fascinating to grow up in another fan base's market. I don't know that many fans can truly say that, especially because a lot of fan bases, well, actually, that's a lie. There probably are quite a bit of people that can say that. I think most people pick who they cheer upon based off of where they live and where they grow up, or simply who they see on TV, which more often than not, especially back in the day, was who was local, was the team in the area. Now you have stories of, oh, well, my dad played here, or my dad is a this fan, or my mom has liked this team since she was born, or something like that. But I think it is truly an experience. If you ever get to do it, go live in another fan base's market. And that is not me telling you to pack up all your stuff and move. But if given the opportunity, I really, really recommend it, because it did teach me a lot of things. And I don't think I would be as level-headed and calm and as rational about things as I am without living in another market.
Yeah. So speaking of, playing against other teams, and it's a good segue to start talking about this
Oh
because
yeah.
I looked at this upcoming season. I've looked at this for months, not just weeks, months. And I've known this going in that my Ohio Bobcats have a really tough gauntlet to start the 2025 college football
Oh,
season.
I'm
Uh,
getting to their preview video. I'm starting to do my research on them, and woof.
I
But
know.
yeah. Anyway,
But yeah, there are some things obviously for me to be concerned about, but there are some things that I'm still hopeful for. And so
and
even
you
with
should
that,
be.
yeah. So even with that, we have a really tough gauntlet starting with week 0, August 28th against Rutgers, going to Piscataway, New Jersey, face the
Mm-hmm.
Rutgers Scarlet Knights, Big Ten team. You know them well. Um,
Oh yeah.
and the next week, at least this one's at home at Frank Stolage Field in Athens, Ohio. We host
Mm-hmm.
the West Virginia Mountaineers
Yep.
of the Big 12. And of course, we top it all off the following week, September 13th,
In
at
the
Ohio
shoe.
Stadium in Columbus to face your Ohio State Buckeyes. This is definitely a question I wanted to ask, specifically about all the games between the Buckeyes and the Bobcats in particular. Um,
Yeah.
Maybe a two-parter question. I don't know how I'm going to phrase this, but um, how significant do you think is this game between Ohio State and Ohio in general, not just this year's game, but just in general? How significant do you think it is? And also, should there be more games like this?
I'm going to answer the second part of your question in a little bit of a different way, probably a way you're not going to expect me to answer. But I will answer the first part of your question by saying most fans out there are probably going to say this is such an insignificant game. You know, it's Ohio State against a MAC school. And sorry, Steven, the Buckeyes are probably going to win that game by 40, 50, maybe even more than that. However, this is an Ohio team, if I'll nerd out for a second, that does have good pieces. I love Parker Navarro at the quarterback position. I think he is great. And you do get C.A. Bangura that's going to be coming back to this team. He tried the Power 4 experiment. It didn't work, and he was a star with the Bobcats. You are going to get him coming back. Love the wide receiver room. I think the offensive line will be solid. I think you got a lot of good defensive pieces. You do well in the transfer portal. Biggest question is how do you move on in the new coaching era with Brian Smith? That's by far and away the biggest question here with this program for me. But this is a significant game, probably not in terms of any sort of rivalry, but it has been a long time since Ohio and Ohio State got together on the football field. And I believe the last time it happened, the Bobcat tried to kill the Buckeye. So that is it is very significant in that way. I'm sure Brutus remembers what happened the last time these two teams met.
You know what? I was about to mention that to you, Nate, just randomly. And no, it's silly to think about it now. Rufus the Bobcat going after Brutus the Buckeye. You
Yeah.
look back at it now, it's that's silly. But it's like that
Oh,
is
but
what
it
it is.
wasn't to the. Have you ever talked or listened
Yeah,
to an interview of the guy that was in the Bobcat? That was war to him. It really was. He hated that mascot. And beyond the mascot, looking at the guy inside the big old sweaty suit, that dude hated Ohio State. And he again, that was not a show put on for the crowd, and it wasn't planned. It really was Brutus getting sucker punched and getting sideswiped and honestly getting mauled and beaten to the ground. Now, Brutus held his own very, very well. But I mean, just probably one of the more wild, forgotten about things that we've seen in the history of college football. So it's significant in that way. On the football field, I think Ohio's got a lot of good challenging pieces, but Ohio State's way too talented. No one's going to be able to cover Jeremiah Smith. Good luck stopping Caleb Downs. And even though the defensive line is all new, there's bigger bodies, more physicality. Ohio State's going to win the game by, I'll probably say 25 plus points to be on the safe side. I know I said 40, 50 earlier. I think the Bobcats are a respectable team. And there have been some moments where Ohio State has at points struggled with teams out of the MAC, even though they historically dominate them. But it is a significant game in that way because of what happened the last time that they met on the football field.
Yeah, putting that aside, between Rufus the Bobcat
Yes.
and Brutus Buckeye makes me laugh even to think about it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it does to me too.
yeah, the evaluation of the game, yeah, it's pretty spot on. I don't have any expectations about that game in particular. I'm
I
more
think as
hopeful.
long as you're competitive and keep that thing close for maybe a quarter, I think that's a massive win, especially in a new head coaching era. Now, I need to answer the second part of your question, which can you re-ask that question
Um,
if you
yeah, the
remember?
second, yeah, I remember. The second part of the question was, should there be more games like this, whether it's Ohio State facing Ohio or any other caliber team like that?
So I'm going to answer this two different ways. Um, you need to keep some of these rivalries alive. Like I hate that Bedlam is going away. I hate that we probably are not going to see what used to be called the Civil War for a long time. Who knows what's going to happen with the Apple Cup? Right now, we're obviously going to get USC, UCLA. Now we have a conference where BYU and Houston are together, which I love because I love watching the Holy War. It's one of my favorite rivalry games. We're always going to get Bama, Tennessee, Bama, Auburn, Georgia, Florida. We're going to get those things, but some of the other ones are going away, especially with all this conference realignment stuff. And even though I'm one of the people that welcome and accept conference realignment, it keeps things fresh. It definitely is a pretty devastating blow to a lot of these rivalries out there. So that's one way that I can answer the question. And seeing more games like this, even though Ohio State is not really a big time rivalry, I think it's still cool to see. And even when Ohio State plays Toledo or Bowling Green or Akron, it's still an in-state team. And obviously Ohio State is helping fund their athletic program, which you need in the sport. Speaking of that, perfect segue to the second way I'm going to answer this question. And I wish I would have written down more examples because I knew I was going to talk about it. But like West Virginia going on the road to play Ohio, I love it. I love a Power 4 team going on the road to play a Group of 5 team, especially in the higher ranks. I love it. I already love when two really highly rated Group of 5 teams are going to get together and play each other. But the fact that you now, especially this season, go back and watch some of my other videos. I mention it in pretty much every video that it's prevalent, where a major, if not even a major, just a Power 4 team in general is going to go on the road to play a Group of 5 team. And in a lot of cases, a Group of 5 team that has a pretty decent shot to make a run in their conference or one of the favorites to get into the college football playoff. I love it. I think it is spectacular. I think it is going to be so good for this sport. And look, let's say Ohio State goes on the road and plays the Bobcats in a couple of years. Is the Scarlet and Gray probably going to overrun that building? Absolutely. But it is still, I think, a very under talked about point throughout collegiate football right now. And I think it's great for the sport.
Yeah, about that, I think, as to my knowledge at least, I don't think Ohio State has ever traveled to Athens to face the Bobcats. I don't think
I
that's ever
highly
happened.
doubt it. If it has
No.
happened, it is way before me, and it might be a little bit before you, but it's probably way before you or I.
Yeah.
Let's just put it that way.
I mean, there's been like 4 recorded games between these two teams, and they're all in Columbus. So
Yeah, right.
I don't think the Buckeyes have ever stepped foot in Athens. So
Yeah,
that would be interesting if that does happen.
yeah, and you're seeing some pretty sizable. Again, I wish I had more examples written down here, but just go back and look through any Power 4 schedule. You're going to see a couple of them where they go on the road to face a mid-major team or a Group of 5 team, and I love it. I think it's great. I think it gives us a different environment. And I hope college basketball will start to adapt that a little bit. Obviously, I don't think you're going to see Duke go on the road and play Cleveland State. Like, I just don't know if that's ever going to happen. But Gonzaga is one of the big time ones. Obviously, they're a big name program, so people going on the road to play there, not really a huge deal. But like, let's say a pretty solid team. Like, what if we get like, oh, I don't know, what's a team that was pretty solid this year? We'll just go with Creighton. What if we have a team like Creighton going on the road to play Grand Canyon? Like that, those are two really good college basketball schools. And I would love to watch that matchup in Arizona because Grand Canyon has one of the best home court environments in collegiate basketball at any level. They are spectacular. They really do like their basketball down there, obviously joining the Mountain West here in a little bit. But I hope that that's something that we can see maybe more prevalent. That's the word I was looking for. Maybe we can hopefully see that more prevalent throughout the years in collegiate football, hopefully in college basketball as well.
Yeah. So just to finish my thought about the Ohio State Ohio game, like I said, your evaluation of it is spot on. Um, the only real hope that I have about that game is that maybe I use a boxing analogy here. I'm hoping that the Bobcats can just hang around for a few rounds, so to speak, to throw some punches, and of course, obviously, Ohio State would pull away and score the knockout punch. But I'm hoping that the Bobcats just hang around there for a little bit. That's what I'm just hoping for. Yeah.
Yeah. The only thing that doesn't save you in that analogy is there is no scorecard
Right.
in college football. There is a scoreboard, and the scoreboard tells it like it is. It doesn't matter how well or how awfully you play. As long as you're beating the team on the scoreboard when that clock hits triple zeros, then you did something right that day.
Right. So yeah, that will be interesting. September 13th, we'll both be watching that.
Absolutely. Oh
So
yeah. Hopefully I'm there. No
yeah,
promises. Hopefully.
yeah. So sticking to college football in general, I'm going to be asking more of a general question here.
For sure.
The entire landscape of college football, as we both know, it's changing ever so often with uh, conference realignments, the college football playoff, NIL, transfer portal, and all the legal stuff like the house settlements. Where do you see college football as a sport in general going? If you could sum it up, you know, if you could just sum it up in a broad term.
Oh, I mean, to sum it up right now, it's chaos. And it still is. Me personally, I think it got a lot better with the house settlement, and that's obviously something that impacts collegiate athletics as a whole. So when people ask me this question, I never like to talk about just the college football aspects of things because even though that is the biggest moneymaker to a lot of these athletic programs, it is not the only thing. And also college football, basketball, collegiate baseball, even college basketball on the women's side too, is far from everything that an athletic department does. Some schools you have golf, you have tennis, you have rowing, you have shotgun sports, you have archery, you have pistol, and I could go on and on about all the different things. Even at my college that I went to, even though it's not a sanctioned sport by the NCAA, our rugby programs are internationally known. We get a lot of transfer students from South Africa to come play rugby, and the men just won a national championship, and the women have won it only about 12 or 13 times. Things like that, right? So as far as collegiate athletics as a whole, I'm going to steal a line from Joel Klatt here. I don't know if this is necessarily the golden age of collegiate athletics as a whole, but I think interest has never been higher, especially in college football with the expanded playoff, especially nothing. The statement that I said rings no truer than women's basketball. And I am so happy to see that expand as rapidly as it has. And I know a lot of jokes get made about it. I watch the WNBA and I watch women's basketball during the regular season. I'm not one of these Joe Schmoes that putters around and knows the big stars and then jumps in during March Madness. Like, I pay attention. And I absolutely love it for all of the women that are being able to compete. Now you have the softball league as well. So collegiate softball is starting to grow even bigger. College baseball is starting to grow even bigger. Volleyball is, I think, the next up and coming sport. Everyone talks about the major four, right? Especially in the professional ranks, the NBA, the NFL, the MLB, and the NHL. Soccer is starting to get there, but volleyball is much farther along than that. And I'm a big volleyball fan. I love volleyball. And when you live in Nebraska, something else you get enamored in is the volleyball culture. But when you talk about it for college football as a whole, because it is the biggest moneymaker, it is what gets all the attention, especially because of the time of year that we are in right now. It really is chaos out there, but I'll double down on what I said earlier. Interest has never been higher. I think fan support has never been higher. And even though you can have your thoughts on the expanded playoff, to me, it really does create more interest. Why? You have more football games. You have more teams that on paper, at least, are given a shot to go win the national championship. You have more fan bases involved in the postseason. You have more fan bases engaged with their athletic departments. You have more people going to games than ever before. You have stadiums expanding all across the way. And even with the House settlement and conference realignment and NIL and all of the big discrepancies and major, what's the word I am looking for? Controversial talking points. I've always been advocated for collegiate athletes to get paid. It's finally getting regulated. I just got an ESPN notification today that the College Sports Commission has been denying some NIL deals because they serve no valid business purpose. And the first thing I did is I went to Twitter to see what people are saying. There are people complaining about it, and it's the same people that were complaining that it wasn't getting regulated. So you were complaining that it wasn't getting regulated, and now you're complaining that it's being regulated too well. Like it just doesn't make sense. And the thing that I always say is love your haters, because one day somebody will replace them. You could turn a hater into a fan. A hater, watching your video, leaving a nasty comment, you don't know what you're talking about, my team is so much better than that. You still clicked on the video. You still gave it a watch. Even if you gave it a dislike, thank you. I really appreciate it. I appreciate all the engagement that I can get. I very much so, at least in that realm, while I don't believe this is fully true, any publicity is good publicity. So again, not fully true, because there's a lot of negative publicity. But in terms of someone clicking on a video, sharing a comment, telling you how much of an idiot you are, it's all clicks. It all helps my platform grow. And while I don't ever have a set goal, I want to grow my thing to be the biggest it can possibly be. I'm sidetracking. State of college football, I think, is really, really good. I think interest, again, is at an all-time high. I really do truly believe that there are more people watching college football than ever. Even the people that say college football is ruined. We are getting record highs in viewer count. We are getting record highs in revenue across many different football programs. And to the people out there that say college football is dying and I'm never watching again, bye. If you don't want to, jump on the van, stay on the van with us, we're not going to drag you back on. So if you want to leave, bye. You don't have to come back. We don't need you. I truly do believe college football will always hold a special place. And even if, like I said earlier, it really sucks to see Bedlam and the Civil War and some of these rivalries start to diminish and start to go away. The competition gap, I think, has never been closer between the Power Four and the Group of Five. You're seeing that with all the Group of Five upsets that we've seen over the past few seasons. So I believe the talent gap is starting to close in. I believe that, again, I've said this millions of times, the interest has never been higher. And this is a sport that people are going to live, sleep, breathe, eat, whatever you want to say, until they die. And I am definitely one of those people. No matter how screwed up things get, quote unquote, whether it's super conferences or whether it's relegation systems, or whether we go back to the BCS system, which I don't think will happen, but with the world you live in today, we never know. I'm still going to watch. I'm still going to pay attention. It's because I love the logo on my chest. And even if you wear something different, even if this is a block M, even if this is a script A, even if this is a tiger paw, it doesn't matter. College football fans, I miss the days where we as fans can band together around our sport. You rarely see that anymore. And I think the biggest thing I want to do with my platform, and it's why I cover all 136 teams now. It's why I put a video out for everybody. It's so everybody is included, because I like talking about everybody. I like learning about everybody. And a Missouri State fan is no smaller than me, an Ohio State fan, or you, an Ohio Bobcat fan, or you, dear viewer, who might be an Indiana fan, a Clemson fan, a Mississippi State fan. We're all the same. We all love college football. We all love our universities, whether it's an alma mater or a rooting interest since you were born. You want to get into college football? Great. It's all awesome. This sport truly is so much fun. It is the best sport on the planet, without a doubt. And I love the fact that I'm privileged enough to get to cover it. And I love the fact that I can just sit here in front of my laptop with a camera and a microphone and talk to whoever I want about it. Very long-winded way of answering that question, but.
No, that's great, man. So I think I should wrap it up with this last question. And this is just very basic. For anybody that's wanting to start their own YouTube channel, whether it's about college football or anything else that they're interested in doing, and they're just getting started, what advice would you have for them?
Yeah, it sounds really simple, and yet it's really difficult. But I think the biggest piece of advice is just do it. And the thing that I especially struggled with at the start was hearing the people say, you can't do this. And hearing the people say, you are talking nonsense, or hearing the people say, you don't know what you're talking about, even after all the time and energy and effort you have spent into making things. I make all of my own graphics. I steal no templates, no nothing. Everything starts with me and a blank PowerPoint slide, and I create and I go and I make, again, just all of my own stuff. Everything is in-house. I don't take anything from anybody. I do everything in-house. This is sports media, which is what I have my degree in. I'm a sports media graduate. It really can be a very difficult industry, because the thing everybody will tell you about sports media is everybody wants to do it. And it's because everybody think they can. So if you truly believe that you are someone that is better than everybody else, if you feel like your opinion is worthy of being heard, which it doesn't matter who you are, yes, it is, just sit down in front of a camera and a microphone. And it's easy for me to say, but just talk. Talk about what you like. Talk about what you love. Start with talking about the things that you know. Like throughout COVID, I only covered the Big Ten Conference. And then the next season, I slowly expanded that into covering everybody. And I've done that ever since. You are going to have your moments where you slam your laptop lid shut, or you throw your computer across the room and say, I can't do it. Trust me, I have had those moments more than enough times where I feel burnt out or overworked or get too hung up on things that people are telling me or saying to me, because throughout all of the positive feedback you are going to get, for every one positive comment like, hey, great job, I really liked the video, you're going to get 5 to 10 comments that say, you suck, you can't do this. If you can persevere through that, you will come to a point, and I've gotten there now, will stop caring. The biggest thing where you can sit down is do it. Opportunities have a funny way of manifesting themselves, but sometimes you have to create your own opportunities. Like myself, in the sports media industry, it's a place I'd always wanted to be. My main goal is to be a play-by-play broadcaster for as big an organization as I can get. I did not do anything in high school. I didn't write for newspaper. I didn't create graphics. I didn't play-by-play games. I did none of it. I did everything when I got to college. YouTube was my first step to manufacturing that opportunity, to getting into the industry, and to putting my first foot forward. If it's something you are interested in, whether you are my age of around 22 or younger or older, just get out and do it. You don't need any fancy equipment. You don't need a $100 microphone. You don't need a $70 webcam. You don't need a $1,000 laptop or a $12 million computer setup. I started out with, you're going to laugh at this, I started out with my school provided laptop and Google Slides. That's the way that I started out. Now I'm using a much nicer computer with a webcam and a microphone. You will learn a lot about yourself and you will grow more knowledgeable. And I'm all for people getting into the sports media industry. I love it. Just get out there and do it. If you have a passion, and that this does not involve just sports media. This can go into anything. If you have a passion for something, just get out and do it. Get out and try it. You will never know unless you try.
Wonderful. Yeah, that's just a wonderful answer, Nate. Yeah, because like I said at the beginning, I've been following you for a few years now. Yeah, I'm in my mid 30s. I'm 36, and for the longest time, I've just held back from wanting to make video content. But recently, because I started doing this in 2023, I'm like, what do I have to
Right?
lose? You know, I was like,
Absolutely.
why not? Why not do this? So, yeah. So along with the some others, you Nate Bope, you are one of those guys that really, in some sense, encouraged me to start doing this myself for my channel. And yeah, and I do have you in part to thank for this, Nathaniel Bope. So I
That,
really do
you
thank you
know,
for
I
this. Yeah,
I don't know
yeah,
if I've ever had someone recognize me from my content and say something so nice like that. So that means the world to me. I have never been one of those people that have felt like I would inspire anybody. I just wanted to go out and make content. So the fact that you just told me that absolutely blows my mind. And now that I'm in a market where I'm going to be on the radio and talking about sports, maybe I'll start to hear that some more. And while I don't expect it, that that right there is, again, not one of the reasons why I do this. I don't do this for the thanks. I do it because I'm passionate and I want to share what I know. But things and people saying stuff like that, again, just blows my mind. And some of the positive support I get still blows my mind. And yes, you have been with me for a long time. You've commented on a ton of my videos. We've had a couple back and forths in my comment section. Much like you said at the beginning of this, I'll say it here at the end. This is something that I have wanted to do for a long, long, long time. Have just never found the time to do it. And technology was trying to find any way possible for us to delay this, and that can stay between you and I, but we finally got it done. We finally did it, and it was a lot of fun.
yeah. So with that, guys, for those of you watching this interview right now, I'm going to provide a link in the description box below, linking you guys to the Tailgate Nate channel, so you guys can check out Nate's content. It's great stuff. Every time I've been up there, I've always been impressed and been amazed by what Nate Bope has been able to do. So please check out his channel and please subscribe to his channel. And yeah, this has been a great interview, Nate. And again, hopefully it'll be an interesting showdown of sorts, who knows, between
Yeah,
Ohio
of
and Ohio
sorts.
State. So, yeah, this has been Stephen Interviews You, episode number 9. We will be coming back soon with more content on this series. So, thank you guys so much for
Hey,
watching.
before you close
Yes,
this out, do
okay.
you care if I promote myself just a
Yeah,
little bit more?
go right ahead.
Okay,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
did not want to do so without asking,
go
but
ahead.
again, subscribe to the YouTube. That's the big thing that we talked about here today. I do a lot more than that. I got a sports media degree on the wall. I just started my new job in the industry. So you want to see all the cool stuff I get to do while still being up to date on what goes on my YouTube channel. this handle right down here at Tailgate Nate 29 is where you can find me on X. I call it Twitter. I'm always going to call it Twitter, but X and Instagram. I have a baseball podcast. If you live in the area that Steven and I both live, which is in the Ohio community, and you like the Cleveland Guardians, I talk minor league affiliates. You can find that podcast at Prospects, capital OTL. That's on Twitter, that's on Instagram, and we do stream on YouTube. It is Prospects of the Land. Thank you, Steven, so much for allowing me to do this, for supporting me for as long as you have. And I look forward to any future conversation we may have. This was a ton of fun. And I apologize for my long-windedness. Can you tell I like to talk?
I could tell, but it's okay by me, man. So yeah. With that, guys, like I said, description box link. I will provide a link below to the Tailgate Nate YouTube channel. Check it out and please subscribe to it. This has been episode 9 of Steven Interviews You, and we will be back soon with more interview content. Thank you all so much for watching. Thank you, Nate, once again.
Thank you, Steven.